The Champions League is back this week, and 2 spots in the final are on the line. On Tuesday, Inter Milan hosts Barcelona at 3 p.m. Eastern. Both teams tied up at 3 apiece. And then on Wednesday, it's PSG Arsenal in Paris with the home side up 1-0. Hansi Flick did confirm to media that Wojciech Szczęsny will get the start against Inter and Real Madrid in El Clasico. So what do you all think? Is that the right call?
Absolutely. Ter Stegen's been out since, September, I think, and he had a really serious injury as well that he suffered back then. So why risk it? Szczęsny was retired, right? He said he'd fallen out of love with the game. He's, probably in Sardinia sipping on an Aperol Spritz. He gets a call from Barcelona. He's like, do you want to come in and be our starter? You can't say no to that, right? That'll make you fall in love with the game very quickly when you get that. And he's been a professional, solid goalkeeper really throughout his career, but more so when he left Arsenal and went to Rome. I think he really upped his game there. So it's quite a luxury as well, right? To lose Ter Stegen, but still have someone like Tech, who has a wealth of experience and has done a reliable job. So don't change anything. Don't risk putting in a goalkeeper that you're still not sure what kind of form he's going to be in. He's been on ice now for a very long time. I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, I think the big conversation is we go back to last season, what Real Madrid did, right? They had 2 goalkeepers, Andre Lunin, who was outstanding in the Champions League, outstanding for much of the season. But when you have a goalkeeper the caliber of Thibaut Courtois, who was injured as well for much of the season, Thibaut Courtois didn't just play a match and then waltz back in. He started in the final. He didn't start in both semifinal matches. He had to really show that he was healthy enough to play. You think of the La Liga matches that he played running into the final. I think it's a correct call. I agree with you from Hansi Flick.
On the other end of the field, there are reports that Robert Lewandowski will be back and available, which is absolutely massive, Christine, for Barcelona.
Absolutely. I mean, he adds another threat. Not that Barcelona need another threat, right? You have Lamine Yamal, you have Rafinha. Like they have their fair share of attackers, but Lewandowski adds another layer and also just an aerial threat for them that will probably keep Çalhanoğlu very busy trying to cut off those lanes to him, for sure.
And the experience of this guy, too, Mike. I mean, come on. That's something that you need in these types of games.
These are the sort of matches that I think Robert Lewandowski lives for, but we're not going to see him until later on in the match. Hamstring injuries are very delicate. You saw players, you go back to Copa del Rey in the final, Ferland Mendy had a massive hamstring injury, lasted 12 minutes. So for a player of Lewandowski's caliber, for a season that Barcelona has, you have to stick with Ferran Torres, who scored a goal against Inter and has been lights out. This is a Barcelona side that's spoiled for depth, spoiled for riches. But what you said about his experience, he is used to scoring big goals in big matches, and he could be the major talking point as the match goes on. If it's 0-0, 3-3 tied on aggregate, he could be the decisive force.
I look at this lineup, look at the 4 center backs at the back, right? Missing, obviously, Balde, and then Koundé at right back, Eric Garcia, who's normally a center back, filling in. So you think of what Inter do well, and that's the wing back play, especially making those inverted runs. Denzel Dumfries was an absolute train, 2 goals and an assist in the first leg. Inigo Martinez is going to struggle with it. Most people struggle with the form of Denzel Dumfries this season, but then Eric Garcia going up against Di Marco as well. That's a very tough matchup. Di Marco's got a wand of a left foot. So if there's anywhere that Inter could look at this formation of Barcelona and say, I think we can exploit that, it might be the pace in the wide areas, given that you have 2 players out of position filling in for the fullbacks.
Yeah, those 2 starting outside backs, both dealing with hamstring injuries. As you said, Mike, it's just such a tricky type of injury to come back from. And as for Inter, one of their key players, Lautaro Martinez, looking like maybe more of a no than a yes for his availability, but he was posted on social media, so I don't know. This guy, it's like, what do those emojis mean? I always love when players post on social media. There's always these like cryptic emojis.
I mean, it's
he's recharging full battery.
Look, the guy is an absolute
beast. In time,
beast.
he'll be fully recharged? Like, what do you read there?
I look at it as that he's doing everything. He's doing pull-ups to try to get back into the game. I think that's the first thing you can see there. But Lautaro's someone who has always given his all to Inter. I know that sounds cliche, but he's turned down big offers from abroad to stay with this club. He absolutely adores this club. But with a thigh muscle, you have to be very, very safe, because he could go out, he could come in and start playing, and with the intensity of this game, after a few minutes, he could feel it, and then suddenly you might lose Lautaro for the rest of the season, and there's still Scudetto at play. So I would assume that we'll see one of the backup strikers, right, Taremi or Arnautović, playing with Marcus Thuram, and then maybe in the 60th minute mark, depending on how the game's going, you can give Lautaro 30 minutes, or you just play him for the whole first half, 45 minutes, and see where to go from there. But these are the two options off the bench. Mehdi Taremi has been a complete flop. This is someone who was getting 25 plus goals a season when he was at Porto under Conceição, and he has not been able to deliver anything. Marko Arnautović is hit or miss. He's very technically gifted, Christine, and he's had better moments in 2025. Credit to him, but this is a massive step down from Lautaro.
Without a doubt. I mean, Arnautović, great 1v1s, but I feel like massive liability. You point to his inconsistency, but I also worry, while he adds a layer of physicality, in big games like this, I worry that the lid could come off the pot, and then you end up in a really, really precarious situation for Inter, where cool heads need to prevail. See, I almost have my own fumble there today. I do think that Taremi, for whatever reason, would get the nod over Arnautović. I think he does add a little bit of verticality, but I don't know how much he's going to help out someone like a Marcus Thuram, who does add that pace and the ability to stretch that back line and stretch and carve into spaces that Inter will need to implement. I think it might help a little bit on the counter, which Inter will have to exploit, absolutely. Again, this game, there's a lot of things they did in the first leg that were excellent that they need to refine, especially knowing that they need to close down the width, especially in those wings. Looking at this potential lineup, that midfield three, particularly, Çalhanoğlu is going to have his work cut out for him again. I think we need to see him a little bit more tempered, a little bit more pacey in terms of redistributing the ball. It's not going to always be perfect for him. Mkhitaryan needs to put in a more complete performance. We saw a first half last leg that was, I'd say, satisfactory. He needs to pick it up in the second half. There were too many weaknesses. He needs to be able to, again, contribute defensively, especially shutting down the width on that side of the flank. And then Barella, who obviously is quintessential to this midfield success, and just getting out in the attack as well. Backline, I'm not terribly worried about. They have done really, really well. Again, you're going to have to worry about shutting down Lamine Yamal. My concern is that they overemphasize his. I don't know that you can overemphasize his importance to this Barcelona side, but what I don't want to do is essentially make him a Trojan horse where you have Rafinha or Ferran Torres coming, swooping in, and just eating that space.
You thought Inter played well?
I think that they contended well.
Did you think they played well?
I think, yeah,
absolutely.
Away.
You thought so?
Yes.
You didn't think Inter played well?
I think there's a misconception. I keep seeing this. Oh, Inter, they did so well. Inter had two amazing goals, right? In the first, horrible mistake from the Barca defense to start it off. But you cannot tell me Inter played well. On the ball, they couldn't do anything. They, apart from a few balls up, and then they exploited. Okay, we all know they exploited Barca on this high line. They'll give you tons of space to run into. But I saw a team that was so much lesser in quality compared to Barcelona. Barcelona, I thought, played one of the brilliant games that I've seen in recent years. Inter,
Barcelona
on the ball,
or Lamine Yamal? Because Lamine Yamal played one of the more brilliant games.
The midfield too.
I vehemently disagree with that, because what I saw was Inter exposed something in Barcelona in a way
everyone can. But you can expose that.
No one had been able to do up until that point. Borussia Dortmund did the same thing. They utilized the fullbacks, right?
Yeah.
They had Inter is so vertical though that they're getting
Barcelona.
If everyone's forward,
skates.
Yes, but they'll always give you that space.
A VAR decision was the difference between that being 4-3 and 3-3.
There's no way you can tell me Inter on the ball. I'm talking about aesthetically. Did they play well? They did not play well. They did not play well. That's what I mean. Did they play well? They played effective football, but they did not play well.
Give me in the UEFA Champions League, give me effective over aesthetics all day. Barcelona would win Champions League.
I'm done with
after
that.
Champions League.
I want to have fun. I watched Barcelona, and I remembered, because I've watched so many poor Serie A games. I've watched Juventus make me genuinely almost fall asleep when I'm in the commentary booth. I want to have fun. And I looked at this Barcelona team, and right now I know I'm sounding like a hipster. I was so entertained by Barcelona that I looked at this team and I said, this is the kind of team that creates new football fans.
Okay, but Inter also scored 3 goals.
If you watch a lot of the performances from Inter this season, they have not been fun to watch. They've been a dull watch for the most part. We've been criticizing them the entirety of the season, saying that just wasn't good enough. They're playing down to the opposition. Here they were brutally effective. They exposed the high line, as we know they would do, because they're very good vertically. They have great players. But Barcelona, I feel like, made me fall in love again with the game. This is the kind of football that I want to watch more of, when there's so many methodical wingers and every team's playing the same. Barcelona is a breath of fresh air, and I cannot wait to get more of this team.
Okay.
They're so much fun to watch.
So one player I want to go back to that we saw in the lineup, Benjamin Pavard, missing the first leg, comes in or projected to come in for this leg. How big of an impact for both of you could he be? Could he be the decisive piece defensively? Because we saw Barcelona, Lamine Yamal, putting people to the woodshed. They were on ice. They were on oil, whatever makes you slip.
Lamine Yamal is a little bit of a cheat code in and of himself, okay? Absolute wonder kid, like ridiculous. I think that Pavard can help out significantly in that back line. I think especially where they wouldn't have conceded goals as much, like a set piece, that they're usually much better at defending. I think that he'll come in integral for that. But you know what Barcelona are going to do. I think that it also gives them a little bit of added layer of security, where Inter did not just sit back like a lot of people would have predicted. And I think that that would have been a far worse course for that first leg. You saw them sit in a mid-block at best. They absorbed pressure effectively. I think that they can do better than they did. But again, Barcelona are smothering. I think that it gives a little bit more freedom to Dumfries and Marko on the wings, which again, they're going to be looking to do the same thing to Barcelona, exploit the gaps in sort of those wing backs where they usually want them to get up, and that's how Barcelona function well from the back. Will that happen? I don't know, because you still have somebody like a Pedri who likes to cut in centrally and carve into spaces that shouldn't be. You know, he creates space that just doesn't exist.
Since Matteo was so unimpressed by Inter in the first leg, I don't know. Okay, but I'm genuinely
about the beauty of the game.
The beautiful game, yes. But I'm very curious then what your keys for Inter are going into the second leg against Barcelona. How can they impress you
I was
more?
given 3, and where's my one shot? Is it this one? Hello.
There you go.
Wow. This is when you know it's a big deal. We're on a one shot. So my first key is Lautaro and Pavard. Pavard was replaced by Bisek. Pavard is by far the player that Inter want to have out there. He can defend so well. He's versatile. He's good going forward with the ball. He can kind of do what Bastoni does on the other side. And then Lautaro Martinez, we saw that meme that he put up. Well, it wasn't a meme. It was him lifting, doing a pull-up, working his triceps and back. And he also put the battery symbol, hopefully, for Inter. That means that he will get a run out.
Is that what your back tat looks like too?
I do not have back muscles, and I do not have a back tattoo. So what I learned about Lautaro is that he's incredibly fit. He's a great athlete, and he's a great Interista, and the kind of player that wants to be here for a massive game. He's already played in the Champions League final. Number 2 is set pieces. I don't think Inter's going to have a lot of the ball. I think we're going to see Barcelona monopolize possession once again. So they have to make the most of their height. They have great set piece deliveries, the left foot of Marko, the right foot of Çalhanoğlu, and they need to make the most also of those corners when they can send all the big boys forward from the back. I think they have like 5 or 6 players that are over 6'2", so it could be an area that they do better. And my number 1 key, triple team, quadruple team, pray to whoever you support up there in the heavens. Simone Inzaghi said, I have not seen a player like this in a very long time. This is the kind of player that comes around once every 3, 4, 5 decades. They threw the triple team at him. It didn't matter. Lamine Yamal is that good. He is one of the most incredible players, if not the most incredible player that I've watched as a 17-year-old. I mean, think of where Messi was, Ronaldo was when they were 17. This guy's already eclipsed 100 games for Barcelona. You cannot stop him.
My jaw was on the floor for most of that game. 6 goals produced in the first leg. What does the second leg have in store? Going to be